Chosen one, stop everything you are doing right now, because heaven just authorized a message that was locked away until this exact moment. You have been through the fire, through the silence, through the nights where you questioned everything, and God has been keeping score of every single second. Chosen one, there is something happening in the spiritual realm right now that your eyes cannot see, but your spirit has already been feeling for weeks. That heaviness in your chest that you could not explain. That strange sense that something was about to shift. That quiet voice in the back of your soul whispering that everything you went through was not random. That everything you survived was not an accident. That every closed door, every betrayal, every night you cried until there was nothing left, all of it, every single piece of it, was building toward this exact moment. And now heaven is opening its mouth and speaking directly to you, not to the person next to you, not to someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who did not make as many mistakes as you did. To you, specifically, intentionally, by name. You have to understand something that the enemy tried to hide from you for years. The tests you went through were not random assignments handed out to just anyone. God does not put his most grueling trials in front of people who were never meant to carry the results. Think about that. Think about the weight of what you have carried. Think about the people who walked away when you needed them most. Think about the seasons where you prayed and the sky felt like concrete, where your words went up and seemed to come back down empty, where you laid in bed at night wondering if God had forgotten your name. You are not being punished. You are not being ignored. You are being prepared in a way that most people will never experience, because most people were never called to do what you were called to do. God does not prepare ordinary people the way he prepared you. He does not take someone through isolation, through heartbreak, through betrayal, through years of silence, through the kind of pain that reshapes a person from the inside out, unless that person is carrying a destiny that requires that level of depth. You are not broken down so you could stay broken. You were broken down so that everything weak inside of you could be removed, and everything strong, everything divine, everything purpose could rise to the surface. And it has, even when you could not see it, even when you could not feel it. The transformation was happening beneath the surface of your pain. There were mornings when you woke up and the weight of your life felt unbearable. You looked in a mirror and you did not recognize the person staring back at you. You wondered where the version of yourself that you used to believe had gone. You wondered if hope was something that existed only for other people, people whose lives looked easier, people whose prayers seemed to get answered faster, people who did not carry the specific kind of sorrow that had become so familiar to you. And in those moments, the enemy was whispering. He was whispering that you were finished. He was whispering that God had moved on. He was whispering that everything you believed in was a lie and that you were a fool for still holding on. But chosen one, listen to me very carefully right now. The enemy only whispers the loudest when he is the most afraid. And he was terrified of you, not because of who you were in that moment of weakness, but because of who he could see you becoming on the other side of it. You have to understand the nature of a test. A test does not reveal anything to the teacher. The teacher already knows the answer. A test reveals something to the student. It shows the student what they are capable of. It shows them the depth of their own endurance. It shows them that they can survive what they believed would destroy them. God was not giving you these trials because he needed to find out if you were strong enough. He already knew. He was giving you these trials so that you would know, so that when you arrived at the place he was taking you, you would not shrink back from the weight of it. You would not feel like an imposter standing in the room he prepared for you. You would stand there with the full understanding that you had earned every single inch of that ground through blood, through tears, through surrender, through the kind of faith that does not feel like faith at all, but looks like a person just refusing to quit. And you refuse to quit. That is the thing that heaven is celebrating right now. You did not quit. There were moments where you came dangerously close. There were moments where you had the plan in your mind, where you were ready to walk away from everything, where the silence felt so loud and the pain felt so permanent that stopping seemed like the only logical conclusion. But something inside of you held on. Some force deeper than your own willpower, deeper than your own understanding, reached into the darkest part of your night and said, "Not yet." Keep going. I'm still here. And you listened, even when you did not fully understand why. Even when you could not see a single reason to keep moving forward. You kept moving forward. And that decision, that one act of stubborn obedience in the middle of your worst season, is the reason heaven is speaking to you right now. The test was never just about what you were going through. The test was about who you were becoming while you went through it. Because chosen one, anyone can praise God on the mountain. Anyone can believe when everything is going well. Anyone can trust in a plan when they can see the entire blueprint laid out before them. But to trust when you cannot see, to believe when the evidence points in the opposite direction, to keep your hands open when everything inside of you wants to grab control and force an outcome. That is a different kind of faith. That is the kind of faith that moves heaven. That is the kind of faith that makes angels stop and watch. That is the kind of faith that changes not just your own life, but the lives of every single person whose destiny is connected to yours. Because your life is not just about you. It never was. There are people whose breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your obedience. There are people who need to witness what God does with a person who held on when holding on made no sense. There are people sitting in their own darkness right now, carrying their own silence, wondering if they should keep going. And the testimony that is being written in your life right now, the story of what you survived and what you were about to step into, is going to be the very thing that convinces them to hold on to. Your suffering was not wasted. Your tears were not wasted. Your years of waiting were not wasted. They were being woven into something so much larger than you could see from inside the middle of the storm. God sees the beginning and the end simultaneously. He does not experience time the way you do. He did not look at your pain and think to himself that was unfortunate. He looked at your pain and he knew exactly what it was producing. He knew that the rejection you experienced in that relationship was redirecting you towards something that would actually sustain you. He knew that the job you lost was pushing you away from a ceiling and toward a calling that had no limits. He knew that the friendship that ended was removing a distraction that would have kept you comfortable in a season where you needed to be transformed. He knew that the unanswered prayers were not rejections. They were redirections. He was not saying no. He was saying not that, and not yet, because I can see what you cannot see, and what I am preparing for you is so much better than what you are asking me for. And now, chosen one, the preparation is complete. The season of testing has ended. The fire has done its work. The silence has done its work. The waiting has done its work. And heaven is now ready to show you what was being built while you were walking through it all. The results of the test are coming in, and they are not what the enemy told you they would be. He told you that you failed. He told you that you were behind. He told you that everyone else had moved ahead while you were stuck in your trial, that the world had passed you by, that the window had closed, that it was too late. And he lied. The enemy is the father of lies, and there is not a single word of truth in that report he filed against you. You did not fail. You did not fall behind. You were being positioned. There is a difference between a person who is behind and a person who is being positioned. A person who is behind needs to catch up. A person who is being positioned needs to trust the process. You are never running behind the plan. You are moving exactly according to the plan. The plan was just written in a language you could not yet read. And now God is translating it for you. Now he is pulling back the curtain and letting you see what he has been constructing in the spiritual realm, what he has been moving into place on your behalf, what he has been preparing in the hearts of the people who are about to enter your life, what he has been building in the opportunities that are about to open in front of you with a kind of ease that will make your head spin. Because that is how it works when God opens a door. You do not have to force it. You do not have to push it or manipulate it or convince anyone to let you through. It swings open, and when people ask you how it happened, you are not going to be able to fully explain it, because it will not have been the result of your own strategy or your own networking or your own perfectly timed effort. It will have been the result of heaven honoring the covenant you made when you chose to keep walking in the dark. And God honors that covenant. He honors it completely. He honors it with interest. Every year you waited, every tear you cried, every night you kept the faith when faith felt like a foolish luxury. He kept track. He did not forget a single moment. And what he is about to release into your life carries the weight of every single one of those moments. Chosen one, the people who counted you out are about to witness something they cannot explain. The ones who watched you struggle and assumed it was the end of your story. The ones who moved on and forgot about you. The ones who made decisions as though your destiny was already finished. They are about to see something that will require them to sit down and reconsider everything they thought they knew about you. Not because you need their validation. You're long past needing that. But because God is a God who vindicates, and the vindication that is coming in your life will speak so loudly that it will not need any words from you at all. You will not have to say anything. You will not have to defend yourself or explain yourself or prove anything to anyone. God is going to do the talking. And when God speaks on your behalf, the conversation is over. The shift that is happening around you right now is not small. This is not a minor adjustment or a slight improvement in circumstances. This is a complete reorientation of your life in alignment with the original plan that was written for you before you took your first breath on this earth. God does not do things halfway. When He moves completely. When He restores fully. When He opens wide. And the season that is beginning for you now is one that your past seasons were simply not large enough to contain. You have been expanded by everything you went through. You can now hold more. You can carry more. You can sustain more. You can steward more. And God, who gives according to capacity, is looking at the person you have become through this process, and He is saying now is the time. They are ready. You are ready, chosen one. Not the version of you that existed before the trials. That version could not have handled what is coming. But the version of you that is sitting here right now, the one who has been through the valley and come out the other side with a limp and a testimony and an unshakable knowledge of who God is, that version is exactly who this next chapter requires. Your wounds became your wisdom. Your weakness became your testimony. Your darkest nights became the very thing that gives you the authority to speak into other people's darkness. Nothing was wasted. Not one single moment. There are connections that God has been holding in reserve for you. People who carry the exact kind of anointing that will complement your calling and push you further than you could ever go alone. People who will see in you immediately what others missed entirely. People who will speak to the version of you that is emerging rather than the version of you that struggled. These divine connections are already in motion. They are already being arranged. The meetings that are coming were not left to chance. They were orchestrated by a God who understands that your destiny requires certain relationships to flourish. And those relationships are on their way. Stop mourning the ones that left. The ones that left had to leave so that your hands would be empty enough to receive what is coming. And chosen one, the resources are coming too, not as a reward for perfection, not because you earned them through flawless behavior or spotless faith, but because God has a purpose for your life that requires provision, and He is not going to call you to something and then leave you without the means to walk in it. The doors that are opening are not doors to small rooms. They are doors to spaces that your previous circumstances could not have prepared you for. But your trials did prepare you. Your character was being formed in the fire so that when abundance came, it would not corrupt you. When influence came, it would not destroy you. When the platform opened, you would be a person who could steward it with integrity and with grace. You are that person now, and heaven is ready to release what it has been holding. So do not shrink back today. Do not talk yourself out of believing this. Do not allow the voice of past disappointment to be louder than the voice of heaven speaking to you right now. You have every reason to believe. You have survived every reason not to. And the God who brought you through every single one of those seasons is the same God who is standing at the entrance of your next season, holding the door open and saying, "Come." You passed the test, every single part of it. And what is on the other side of this door was designed with you in mind before the foundation of the world was laid. Walk through it, chosen one. Walk through it with your head up and your spirit open and your hands ready to receive. Because what heaven has been holding for you is finally, completely, and irrevocably yours. Chosen one, you did not find this message by accident. Something inside of you was already stirring before you ever pressed play. That stirring was God preparing your heart to receive what he was about to say. The results of your test are not coming someday in the distant future. They're already here. They were released the moment you decided that you were still going to trust him even after everything you went through. The shift has already begun in the spiritual realm. What you are about to see in the natural world is simply catching up to what God already settled on your behalf. You're not waiting for a miracle. You're standing inside of one. Be still and watch what heaven does next. If this message reached something deep inside of your spirit today, if something in your chest shifted while you were listening, if tears came to your eyes because you felt like God was speaking directly to you, that was not a feeling. That was a confirmation. Type the words, "I passed the test," in the comments right now as a declaration of faith and as a sign to heaven that you are ready to receive everything that is coming. Share this message with someone who is still in the middle of their trial, someone who needs to know that the test does not last forever. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that every time heaven sends a new word, you are the first to receive it. Your next message is already being prepared. Stay close.